So what is a palace? We're very used to that word these days. Crystal Palace is a football team. The Picture Palace is a place where you go and see movies. But if you go back into the Middle Ages, the word palace had an extremely specific meaning. It derives from the Latin word palatium, which in itself comes from the ancient Roman Palatine Hill, the principal residence of the Roman emperors, favoured by emperors like Hadrian. So palatium, in the Latin word, means principal residence. And as such, you can really only have one of them. And when you trawl back through the medieval records of the British monarchy, you will find that the first use, well certainly the first use I can find of the word palatium is in 1236, and it is used to describe the royal residence at Westminster. The next reference I can find to the word palace is from 1265, and this is in an official document. And so I think this is the date from which the Palace of Westminster becomes officially the seat of the monarchy and is referred to as a palace. And you go back through all the medieval records right the way through to the Tudor period. This word palace is only really ever used to describe the Palace of Westminster, the principal residence of the Kings of England. Now in 1512, the palace burns down. The Palace of Westminster burns down, and Henry VIII moves his main centre of operations from Westminster to Greenwich. And for a short period between 1512 and 1529, there isn't really a headquarters in Westminster. But in 1529, on the fall of Cardinal Wolsey, Henry VIII takes over York Place, Cardinal Wolsey's archiepiscopal residence in Westminster, which becomes Whitehall Palace. And Henry VIII massively extends Whitehall Palace. It becomes really, arguably, the biggest palace in Europe at the time. It covers 60 acres. And in 1536, Henry VIII had more or less finished Whitehall Palace, and he passes an Act of Parliament. And this very specifically says that the term palace would now be extended not just to refer to Westminster, but to refer to Whitehall too. And from that point onwards, the term palace is applied to Whitehall, and Whitehall is the principal residence of the English monarchy. And that continues until 1698. And in 1698, Whitehall Palace burns down. It's completely destroyed. And from that point onwards, William III relocates to St James's Palace and to Kensington Palace. Now you see I use the word palace because both of those buildings start to be referred to from this point onward as palaces. Kensington, it doesn't last very long, but St James's, the word sticks. And from really the reign of Queen Anne, right the way through until the reign of George IV, essentially St James's is the palace. And this is a very interesting and important point because St James's really becomes the official seat of the English monarchy. It becomes known as the Court of St James's, the place where the court sits. And in fact, to this very, very day, St James's is still referred to as the Court of St James's. It is the official seat of the English crown. But in the 19th century, two things happen. The first is that a house that used to belong to the Duke of Buckingham, which is near St James's Palace, is converted by George IV into a private residence of his own. And although neither he nor his brother, William IV, lived there, Queen Victoria makes Buckingham House, which becomes Buckingham Palace, her main London seat. So although St James's is still officially the seat of the English crown, Queen Victoria is living next door in somewhere that is called also a palace, Buckingham Palace. But the second thing that happens is that the ceremonial heart of the monarchy is moved from St James's and Buckingham Palace back into Westminster. Because after the old ancient Palace of Westminster, where now the Houses of Parliament were, burns down in 1834, it's rebuilt. And at the heart of the new Palace of Westminster, designed by James Barry and Pugin, is a massive royal palace. That is in the House of Lords. It's still there today. And this is the grandest royal building that is constructed in the 19th century. And so we have a situation today, whereas the word palace is bandied around and used to describe everything from Buckingham Palace, where the Beckhams live, to bishops' palaces, to all sorts of places, big houses basically. There are three places that are officially palaces. One, the Palace of St James, the official seat of the British court. Two, Buckingham Palace, the official seat of the British monarchy. And three, the Palace of Westminster, which is where the Houses of Parliament are, which is still the official seat of the Crown. So next time you're tempted to use the word palace, you need to remember that it has a very specific meaning.